Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of the Interview Show. My name is Jerome Cuson. If this is the first time you're listening to one of our podcasts, you can find many more of them at iTunes and Stitcher Radio. While you're there, go ahead and leave a 4 or 5 star review on both of those platforms. Help people discover what Pro Wrestling Ponderings podcasts are all about. And if you have some extra dough, if you got some extra money, go to highspots.com through the link on pwponderings.com, and you can get some of the same great merchandise at the same prices, and Pro Wrestling Ponderings will be the benefactors, as we will get a small kickback, and you're going to help support what we do, support the website, keep the doors open so we can continue bringing you great reviews and podcasts like this one, The Interview Show, plus the weekly newscast with Chris and Dez, and Fan to Fan with Kevin Ford. Fan to Fan, always a great time. Such recent guests, Nick Manawa, Drew Cordero. It's been fantastic. And Kevin Harvey, School's In with Kelly Skater. Very excited to hear that interview. Kelly Skater, a very impressive female performer. Speaking of female performers, I just wanted to send out a shout-out to 2 former Pro Wrestling Ponderings guests, as unfortunately both Athena and Angelus Lane have suffered some very serious injuries. Chris and Dez mentioned the Go Forward, where you can help Athena financially. Obviously, if you have the money, please do that. Angelus was diagnosed, I guess, with post-concussion syndrome, according to her Twitter. So I just want to send my personal best wishes to both of those young ladies, as they are both fantastic performers. And I know I say make a lot of jokes on the Twitter and a lot of things, but have a genuine respect for what she does and for what all of the women and men in pro wrestling do. And although she has not been a guest on PWP, Courtney Rush suffered a broken collarbone, also dealing with a very serious knee injury. Everyone at Pro Wrestling Ponderings and in the wrestling community, we send our best to her as well. Now that we have that out of the way, there's really no great way to transition after talking about some very serious injuries. But we're gonna continue doing the business of promoting independent wrestling tonight, talking with Danny Daniels about AAW. This is a very AAW heavy centric interview. Just before listening to this podcast, I really try not to do repeat interviews, and I know that Danny Daniels, he did an interview with Smart Mark Video, Best on the Indies, as well as the Mike and Tom show back on January the 24th. So if you want to hear all about Danny Daniels' career and a lot of that stuff, definitely seek those resources out. I have no problem promoting going to smartmarkvideo.com, buying anything from them, and going to check out the Mike and Tom show for the Danny Daniels interview. But we talk a lot about AAW, a lot of the current stars, why they're running more shows, and a whole lot more. So definitely stay tuned for that interview. And when we come back, we'll get some plugs in as well. So without any further ado, let's get one of the minds behind AEW on the air. Joining me on the line right now, he is one of the many minds behind AEW. It has taken me 4 years to get him on a podcast, but he is here. He is on Pro Wrestling Ponderings. Danny Daniels, how's it going tonight, sir?
Good, man. Good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. You mentioned it took 4 years, but, good things happen, when you wait.
That's what I've been told, and I hope that I hope just like in pro wrestling, there's a good blow off to this.
Oh, I can't guarantee that, but whatever. We'll try.
Well, you are one of the minds behind AAW, so if anyone can make it happen, I'm assuming it's you, right?
Oh, yeah, let's hope so, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's when they tell me, or that's what I tell them when I'm like, oh, don't worry, the show will be fine.
So 3 huge shows coming up in the next month or so. Returning to Berwyn on September the 27th. Back to Berwyn October the 18th, and then October the 25th at Bourbon Street. So it has been a very busy year for AAW overall. And what's been the inspiration to run, it seems like every 3 weeks or so, or some extra shows in 2013?
I think we just tried out a couple different venues. Lining up dates with venues are also difficult. It wasn't our intention to run the 18th and the 25th of October, but as far as venue availability, that was all that we really had. We wanted a little space in between, but there was nothing we could do.
And it was just announced last week that you're going to be running a tag team tournament. It's a big popular trend these days in independent wrestling in the fall to be running a tag team tournament, and it's going to be a 16-teamer. It's going to start at Hostile Intentions on the 18th, continue at Wars Coming a week later, and then at the Windy City Classic, the semifinals and finals. So another multi-show tournament, and as one of the minds behind AEW, you got to love these multi-show tournaments.
I don't. Because it's, people always pull out, people get hurt, yada, yada, yada. The Heritage Title Tournament got a little, got some good buzz, and people seem to enjoy it. So we figured we'd try it again in a different capacity. Let's try tag teams, and we're looking into getting a couple teams that we've never had before, just to get some, new talent in there.
I mean, so obviously with you running this tag team tournament, I mean, obviously you still put a lot of stock into tag team wrestling, and what is that sort of the impetus behind this, to sort of re-emphasize the tag team division?
I think so. A couple of years ago, we really featured it. We were really doing good with it. We main evented a lot of shows with our tag team titles, and I always felt that way. You can flip-flop. The heavyweight, the title, I believe we've even done the Heritage title before. And, I'm just a big believer in the tag teams going on main, And back in the day, that used to happen all the time on shows. And again, we had that with Tyler and Jimmy. We had that with House of Truth, the Twins. Those teams were always main eventing our shows. And I'm not going to say we dropped off, but it did fall back a little bit. We just lost a couple teams, and we're just trying to rebuild it right now. So we'll do what we can. But I think we got a lot of good tag teams coming up. We still got Lewis and Fontaine. We got Mafia. We got Airborne. Zero Gravity. Those are our foundation right now. I just think we have to introduce a couple more.
And, Irish Airborne, they started off as a babyface team, and it really feels like once they turned heel, it feels like they really started to click, and they've been one of the more underrated tag teams, I think, in independent wrestling over the last few years. And what are your thoughts on Jake and Dave?
Well, I think when they first started with Ian back in the day, all they did was moves, and they really didn't know. They really didn't know how to work back then, and I think they'll admit that they were just trying to get over with moves and everything like that, and they toned it down but learned how to work, and they make teams better, working them. But I think that it also held them. I don't know, held them back, because they're booked every weekend, but definitely they're not the team that's doing all the flashy moves, And so, what indie wrestling is. The guys that do all the cool moves seem to get booked more. It doesn't mean that you're a better worker or anything like that. It's just, that's what a lot of, promoters like,
For sure.
But I've always thought they were a solid team, so, I've always booked them. I can always depend on them to main event shows or semi-main or, whatever we need. They've always been dependable and can put on a great match and, really piss off the fans.
Yes, the Berwyn faithful, regardless of where they go, they seem to be really good at interacting with the crowd and just being assholes. It seems very natural the way that they behave in Berwyn or Bourbon Street.
Yeah, but that's also their personality. I'm not going to say they're assholes or anything like that, but they believe. They portray who they are in real life. They know they're good, so they portray that in the ring.
And your current tag team champions, Marion Fontaine and Louis Linden, a team that was sort of thrown together earlier on this year, but I think that they have done a very impressive job. And, I've been a big fan of Louis Linden across the independent scene. And, he's been a big part. He's been a part of AAW in some form or another for the last few years. And, your thoughts on putting this team together, and now they're your champions.
Yeah, it just, it wasn't intended to be that way. I think the direction was Fontaine and Darren Corbin, but it just happened. And Fontaine, he just seems to get over every time we put him out there. It's not that he has a great look or anything like that, but he just knows how to interact with the crowd. Hard-working guy, just good match after good match. And Lewis, for him not to be more well-known is crazy, If you watched any of his matches with Hollister, he tore it up with a couple of other guys, too. Just, I know Elgin was another one he just tore it up with. Whoever we put him in there with, he was just tearing it up. And then we just happened to team those two together, and they just gelled perfectly. So
it's funny with
natural fit.
I think with Louis Linden, I think he got exposed a little bit early in his career with DGUSA and Chikara, and sometimes you only get that one time to make a first impression, and he's never really gotten those opportunities on the East Coast. But obviously you guys are still booking him, and AIW out of Cleveland is as well. So he's definitely getting.
But did Lewis get the opportunity solo?
I don't believe so. He was primarily with Flip.
Yeah, he was tagging with Flip, and he was doing the Mayhem matches. I don't think, and I'm not going to put any heat on Flip or the Mayhem matches, but, I don't know. Just watching the guy and letting him go on his own, the guy's been terrific. And I don't think other companies have given him that opportunity to work singles or give him maybe a partner that, he truly could click with.
Do you feel that Fontaine maybe brings out a little bit more personality in Linden than he would have maybe by himself?
Absolutely. Yeah, Fontaine. Fontaine's a ball of charisma. So he can bring out, he can bring that out in anybody.
And a team that has recently been making waves is the Monster Mafia, Josh Alexander, and Ethan Page. What's impressed you most about these two gentlemen?
What's impressed me most was Michael Elgin trying to get them booked every month. For literally half years, you got to book him. I'm like, I don't have room. And we don't, a lot of our shows will run 9 and 10 matches, and it's like, we don't have room. And then we brought him in, and the first match was with Lewis and Fontaine, going back to them, and they tore the house down. They tore the freaking house down, and after that, it was like, okay, you guys are on every show. So, they're just dynamite. They're big kids too, man. Alexander's there as far as getting his body there. He just needs a little bit more charisma, Page, though, when he gets his body together, he's a big kid, It won't surprise me if these two guys will be in New York in no time. They're that good.
Yeah,
Page is great on the mic. Just Alexander, he just needs a little bit more charisma out there. But, those two together, though, they're dynamite, And, again, that's a lot with tag team wrestling. You got one guy, who can do one thing, and the other guy can be charismatic, and, they hide each other. They make each other better. That's what tag wrestling is all about.
For sure. Had you seen any of Ethan Page's work before he debuted in AAW?
Yeah, you know what? I'll be honest, and I didn't like it because I saw him as a babyface. To be honest,
Okay.
and I told Elgin that, or Elgin that, and I'm like, he's a baby, and I'm like, dude, this guy blows as a baby. I'm like, why are you pushing him? And then I happen to see him in AAW as a heel, and I'm like, okay, we'll give it a try as a heel. It was a lot better, and just Elgin pitched at the team before, and I needed a tag for that show, and it just worked out great as heels.
Definitely. And, Zero Gravity, they've been mainstays in the division, and, you talk about guys who do a lot of moves, and I think that's sort of the purpose that Zero Gravity fits in that role.
Yeah, I agree, but I found I'm not going to say I found them, but I was working those guys in Iowa back like 5 years ago, and I just saw them, and I asked, let's work them. And I was tagging with Trick Davis a lot out there, and we just worked them, and the matches were good. Those kids didn't know. They didn't know a fucking thing, Pardon my language, but they didn't know a damn thing. And we worked them, and it was really good. They listened, so we brought them over, and I happened to work them a lot when we brought them over in AAW. Excuse me, I don't even know our own initials. And then, it got over. But, it still came out that they were still green, but I think they're finally coming around where they're just having good match after good match now. But again, they're young guys, I found them fairly early when they were working. I think they were only working, 2 or 3 years before I brought them to AAW.
So over the last couple of years, AAW has experienced a ton of growth as far as going into new buildings and bringing a lot of bigger name independent talent. And one of the questions I have is what's sort of the inspiration to sort of take AAW to the next level?
What do you mean? I mean, everybody wants to get more notoriety. Everybody wants to get, draw more people, get in different venues. What building do we? Bourbon Street. Bourbon Street was great. My only thing with Bourbon is just I don't know if the ceiling's too tall or what, but it just you don't get that atmosphere as you do in Berwyn because there's no ceiling in Berwyn, so the sound just ricochets back down to you. But Bourbon's a great venue as far as DVD and everything. It looks professional. Lighting looks great. The guys like it. It's big. You can fit more people in there. That was good. And going out to Dirty Nelly's and Home Bar, those were just venues that were offered to us for free, as long as we, filled in the crowd with fans or filled in the building with fans, so that was good. A couple of those fell into our lap. But our main purpose is just getting it out there, more word of mouth, I guess, The shows have been too good for too long for people not to know about it. So now finally I feel that more people, hear about it, and it's like, hey, you got to check these shows out because they're damn good month in and month out.
How much of this, especially the recent attention, do you give a lot of credence to, the Michael Elgin and Silas Young series from last year? Because I feel like that series got AEW a lot of extra attention.
I believe that. I believe that was our thing that really pushed us over the top. And I think I was a little, I wouldn't say offended, but there, we had, like I said, we had a lot of good things going on for a long time, Tyler Black was tearing it up for us, way before, Ring of Honor found him or whatever, it's just every month it's like, man, what the hell's going on? Nobody's noticing it. But again, with Michael Elgin just had the match with Davey Richards, and I feel like they didn't capitalize on that match at WrestleMania weekend down in Florida, I believe. And I'm like, and at the time we had him going for the title, So it just kind of played out perfectly that, he had all this buzz about him, and then he just did the, hour-long match, and people just got invested into the product. And with that, and then, we had we finally got a commitment from Sami Callihan, you know, and he was doing a lot more shows, and I just think, you know, it just started picking up buzz that people started enjoying. It's like, hey, we can watch these guys that we like in a different atmosphere, or maybe used in a different way that maybe people enjoyed. You know,
I don't know. It's funny how it works out, because Tyler Black had a match with Nigel McGuinness that got him a lot of attention in Ring of Honor, and I believe he won the AAW title very shortly after that. And Michael Elgin had his huge match with Davey Richards in Ring of Honor, and then he won the AAW title. So it's funny how that works.
No, Tyler had the belt. Tyler had the belt 2 years before that. He won it for the second time. You know, yeah. Well, right when we flipped Tyler heel, right when he broke into business, it was a couple years into it. He held the belt, and he wrestled Nigel a couple times and tore the house down. You know, but these are matches that people haven't seen before, because it was before they were, you know, invested into our product.
Right. But, I think Tyler's second title reign began shortly after.
Yeah. Second title reign. The first one was heel, then the last one was babyface as a champ. And then, Elgin won it, you know, and no offense, but Ring of Honor should have put the belt on, you know, Elgin when he was hot, when he was red hot, you know.
I mean, you're preaching to the choir. I've been saying this for the last year and a half, so.
Yeah, you know, but I don't know. There's different things that go into it, you know. They have their reasons why they didn't put the belt on him. I don't know what they are, what they're thinking. I just feel that it's like when a guy's hot, you know, put the rocket ship up his ass and let it ride, you know.
So is that why you put the belt on him, because he was hot and you decided to put the rocket up his ass?
No, he was tearing the house down, you know. If he's, you know, and there was a couple guys that I felt that were getting some buzz, and they worked for us, and they were fucking lazy, you know. And if I would have went off strict buzz, I would have, you know, put them more. But we brought him in, you know, did a little something with them. It's like, man, these guys aren't working hard, and it just didn't work out. But, you know, Elgin was busting his ass, and, you know, it felt right at the time, you know. And Silas had the belt, I believe, before he lost it for quite a while. It was time, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, and give him kudos, because, you know, when he pretty much carried our company for 2 years, you know. That guy's been the backbone for for this company for years now.
For sure, and you know, I think that one of the things that really has made AAW special in 2013 is the Heritage Title tournaments, and you know, you obviously mentioned the travails of dealing with the booking of that, but you know, what do you think that tournament did for the company at the end of last year, coming into 2013?
I just think it elevated a lot of guys that people didn't really recognize, you know, or, you know, it just gave the undercard like a little bit more meaning, which I felt that we were lacking at the time. We had a couple feuds, but, you know, it gave guys that we weren't really doing anything with a little bit more purpose, you know. And just, you know, people get invested in that, I think, you know. You know, Miller really didn't have a purpose, and he got a purpose. Samurai, you know, again, ACH, we weren't really doing a lot with until that point, you know. You know, and these were guys that were having good matches, but I just felt they finally got the focus on them for a couple months, and, you know, let them rip.
And this is a great way to transition into discussing ACH. I mean, obviously, he's another guy that's got a ton of buzz around him through working multiple independent promotions.
Yeah, again, but, you know, we did that first, you know. I'm not going to say we found all the talent, but, you know, he definitely was doing some good things for us first, you know.
So what specifically impresses you about ACH?
The way he captivates the crowd. You know, there's other guys that can go out there and can do as many flips as he can do as many moves as he can, but unless you have the crowd behind you or with you during a match, it really doesn't matter. You know, we brought him in. The first time we used him, he just showed up to a show, and he's like, oh, can I get on? I'm like, man, I don't have room, you know? And he got out there, and he worked Mason back and it was just to make Mason Beck look good. But that place was behind ACH, and all they did was make Mason Beck look good. And I'm like, all right, this guy's got it, you know. And a couple people were pushing him to work our show. Again, just didn't have the room at the time. And you go out there and you get over with the crowd, it's like, then you're in, you know. That's all you got to do is get over with the crowd, then you're in. And then, you know, it's terrible to say, but then you replace somebody who's not getting over with the crowd. And, you know, and that's how it works. That's how business works, you know.
You got to do it. Obviously, you got to try to do what's best for business at all times.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you have to do at all times. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if people don't want to watch what you have out there, then you're not going to be able to run shows because nobody's going to come. Then then you become every other, you know, group who's running in front of, you know, 20 people, 30 people, whatever.
And I'm very curious to know who in that tournament maybe surprised you or, you know, really turned your head and you decided that you had to book this guy more.
In the tournament?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we had a couple disappointments in the tournament. I don't know if anybody really turned my head. I mean, you know, one of the matches that, like, stole the tournament was Fichette and ACH, but we've always had plans for Fichette, but he's always hurt or, you know, work schedule, you know, things happen with Matt that his availability has been tough with the past year, but we've always, you know, we've tried things with him dating back to like a year and a half ago, you know.
For sure.
But as far as, you know, there was a couple letdowns, and I thought that we're going to do a lot better in it that it just didn't pan out, you know.
Right. And, you know, someone like Untai Miller has, you know, he's been a big part of AAW for the last year or so, and you don't really see his name in a lot of other places. I mean, what specifically about him impresses you?
You know, funny story about him is, yeah, the thing about Miller is the first time in, he breaks his leg, you know, on a spot that I called for him. You know, he does the moonsault to the floor, and not that I called for him, but I saw him do this on tapes, and I'm like, dude, you got to get this in on your match, you know. And he does that, hits the guard railing, breaks his leg. His first time in, I'm like, oh my god. So I'm not going to say that I felt bad. That's why I booked him, but I always felt like a loyalty to this kid. I'm like, all right, what can I do to help this kid out, you know? So I always thought he had talent. He just needs to get a little bit more. He was timid in the ring. He doesn't talk. That's his gimmick. He's a very shy guy, and it's just trying to get that personality out of him and be a little bit more aggressive. But, you know, again, he's a young kid. His only problem is he doesn't work a lot. He only works for us in his home promotion out in Detroit, you know. He doesn't want to work with his regular job. He doesn't have time for it. But, you know, he's a guy that I always thought, you know, could be a ton better if he worked more. But, you know, he's good. He's damn good. He could be really good.
And, you know, I also want to ask about Silas Young, of course. He's a guy, I guess you could say that for a long time it seemed like he was carrying AAW on his back. Two or three huge title reigns as the heavyweight champion. And, you know, what is the value of having someone like Silas Young who, you know, kind of got screwed a little bit by WWE with the developmental, maybe not getting opportunities with Gabe and with Ring of Honor, but, you know, he was able to sort of be a consistent person in AAW and be your heavyweight champion for most of 3 years.
Yeah, you know, when we lost Tyler, and I remember having this conversation with Pekovic, who's, you know, a producer and everything, and I told him, I'm like, man, what are we going to do? This is, you know, the original plan for AAW was, you know, my students and me, and that's pretty much what it was. That was Tyler Merrick, you know, and whoever I was training. That was the original, you know, bunch of young guys. And so we focused, and it just became that Tyler became the guy. Tyler was my backbone on, every show we had, be it tag title, heavyweight title. Even when he didn't main event, I knew that he would have, the best match on the show. And so when he gets picked up, I'm like, oh, man, what are we going to do now? Even though we had the belt on Silas at the time, I didn't have confidence in, I don't know, in the product at the time, maybe in the roster at the time. We were changing over a couple guys and everything like that. And he really took that ball and ran, and he just became the guy, the catalyst of, everybody wanted to get at him, and he, get in the ring with him, and he took that as a challenge to have the best match possible, to get the most heat possible, and it just, I'll tell you what, he carried the company when we really needed it, show in and show out, he just busted his ass and just carried it,
I mean, as far as his title reign, and you could really talk about any special favorites, but having seen all of Silas Young's title defenses, do you have any favorites, and maybe even some that maybe the average wrestling fan wouldn't take a second thought of?
I just like the way we put the belt on him, to be honest. The first initial time he was having a feud with Abercrombie, Josh Raymond, and he was just losing, and then he had the match with Bryan Danielson, and it just losing, and then we had planned that he would just flip and steal the title at that point. And he was heel forever for us, mid-card, and then when he was going to go to developmental, everybody thought he was going, so it just kind of turned him baby because everybody loved him, but he's a better heel. So when we flipped him and he won the belt, to me that was the best. I thought it was a great way to start off a new main event guy, and just from that point on, it's just been golden. I don't know. I think the best thing though, like he did, I believe, was the Elgin series. I believe it was great.
And, Silas Young doesn't get a lot of credit for the way he talks outside of sort of AAW circles. I mean, how did you sort of figure out that this guy was such a great promo that, basically it's like a monthly thing now, even to this day?
Yeah, you know what? But that's what made our product different, though, even back in the day, we were very, character heavy. I think not like everybody needs a character like a ha-ha, or a fucking caveman, whatever it may be. But we needed the person to. If I don't care or like or hate you, why am I going to come watch you? Why am I going to be invested in you? So we give the guys an opportunity to talk, to get the feud over, get the personality over, and just giving him an opportunity and giving him bullet points and everything like that, he just took the ball and ran with it, And again, when you can talk your ass off, it's like, well, hell, I'm gonna let you talk every show, If it's that good, you can't, like Jim Jacobs, it's not, you can't tell him, hey, dude, we don't have time for you to cut a promo when he's like the best at cutting promos, Same thing with Silas. It's like, dude, you're great at it. People react to it, so, cut a promo. And, again, he was just great at it, and we just, we give them bullet points and what we think, we come together as what we think the character should be, and give them bullet points and let them do it, and he did it. I can't take credit for how how good of a promo he is. I can just take credit for giving him the opportunity to cut the promo, where other groups haven't. Forever, Ring of Honor would just use him sparingly and just put him in four-way, you know what I mean? Four-ways, mayhem matches, random tags. That's not who he is. He's not a guy who's gonna, fucking blow the roof off with moves. He's not that guy, But he's gonna be a guy who can make everybody look better in the ring and have a great match with him. You know, that's what Jimmy Jacobs. That's a guy. Same thing. You know, give them the opportunity to have that match, and they'll get over. But they're not going to get over in, you know, mayhem matches and just random. You know, they're program wrestlers. They need to get over.
And so how much of an advantage is it for AAW to have that big video board where you can show the promos to the fans?
It's a huge advantage. I mean, that's what makes a product, you know, at the time it was, you know, well, 05, you know, nobody was, like, doing that around the area other than, like, AAW, you know. It just made the product look different, you know. I guess WWE's doing it now on their house shows, but whatever, they ripped it off of us.
Do you feel like AAW gets ripped off a lot?
No. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? I don't know who's watching AAW, but I doubt they are.
For sure. And
actually, you know what? I remember being on shows with Nova, and Nova would tell me, like, dude, WWE had, like, a video room where they had, this was at the time, this was, like, maybe 04, 03, 04. And he's like, yeah, we got, like, Combat Zone, IWA, Ring of Honor, like, at the time, you know, VHS. You know, we got a room that just has a ton of VHS tapes in it. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't think the big wigs are watching it, but the boys are watching it.
Well, it's funny because William Regal was at the PWG's Battle of Los Angeles night too a couple weeks ago. So
yeah, I heard.
They are watching the independent scene. So
yeah, it's different now, dude. Well, I mean, they got the new facilities, so they need the talent to, you know, fill it up. Why not? They're not paying these guys much, you know. And I don't, you know, invest a couple dollars in them, and you never know which ones are going to pan out. You got to make it like minor league baseball, you know, hoard up all the talent, and even if you get, you know, 20% that pan out, who cares? You know, you're not paying them anything.
Right. No, I mean, that makes total sense. And
yeah, absolutely. You take anybody with a lick of talent or, you know, a halfway decent look, you pay them crap, you put them down there, you know, let them ride the little fucking bus that, you know, like minor league baseball. You know, and it's like you hope, you know, a percentage of them pan out.
And I mean, you know, guys like Samurai Del Sol and Sami Callihan, you know, obviously these guys have a ton of talent, and you know, there's no reason that they can't be in WWE within the next 18 months, particularly Del Sol, because he's got the mask and can speak Spanish.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's got the you know, he's got what they're looking for. I think it's going to be a lot easier for him than you know, Sami Callihan. Only because of Sammy's height, you know. That, to be honest, it's a, you know. But I mean, he's got definite traits about him that are totally different than what the guys are doing on TV. That I think if they gave him the opportunity, he'd come in and get way over, you know.
And obviously, you know, it's sort of a whole new world in independent wrestling, you know, with the Performance Center and them signing so many guys. And I'm curious, you know, how do you see your role as a wrestling promoter in 2013, given sort of these circumstances, you know, the tough economy and sort of the challenges of, you know, the guys who are under contract and Ring of Honor running so many dates? How do you see your role?
I don't know. My role is just to give the fans more than what they pay for. That has always been my biggest thing. Like, you know, they're gonna give us their 18 or 13 or whatever we're charging for that venue, and we're going to give them the best possible show that we can, you know. I just feel, you know, and the guys are going to come and go. They really are. They're going to get signed, or Ring of Honor is going to be Ring of Honor and block guys from working our shows that they, you know, they've been doing lately. It's just, you know, I'm not going to say there's other guys or, you know, but there's a lot of guys out there. We'll find guys to, you know, work the shows. There's nothing we can do. If we want to continue to run pro wrestling shows, then we got to get used to Ring of Honor using our guys, or, you know, the guys leaving, what have you, you know. It is what it is. I mean, you put out the best possible show for fans that, you know, our product is intimate. They're a couple feet away from the action. You know, it's a cool feeling, you know, to come watch it.
Now, obviously, obviously,
as a mark, you know, when I was going to shows, and I used to go to 1 million of them, I never really had that venue or anything that I felt that you were, like, really a part of it, you know? I used to go to Windy City shows out here, or I forgot what there was a couple other local shows, and it just felt like it was like, God, you know, it was a bunch of guys just, I don't know, walking around doing bullshit, talking. It just wasn't cool, and the fans weren't really. I mean, they were into it, but they weren't, you know, they weren't really into it.
Right.
You know, they were waiting for fucking, you know, at the time back when I was a mark, it was a bunch of guys that were, you know, all gassed up, you know, walking around doing a fucking hip toss for a high spot, you know, and couldn't cut a fucking promo. You know, it was terrible. You know, at least our guys, it's like, you feel when you come to an AAW show, you feel that these guys are busting their ass, giving everything, you know, you got, and you see, like, and there's a bunch of them, you can tell that, man, these guys in 5 years, they're going to be on, you know, WWE or TNA TV. You can tell that that's our product, and that's why I think the fans keep coming back.
And I want to ask, since you've been at this for a number of years, how do you feel that you have changed as an independent promoter in the last 7 or 8 years?
I think I have. Like, I don't know. Like, when I started promoting, I felt if you gave them a good show that was storyline based, they're gonna come, you know, and people are gonna, you know, talk about it. But it just didn't work out that way, you know, for me. You know, when I started promoting, I inherited a roster that wasn't too good, you know. It was a bunch of guys. When I bought AAW, it was a bunch of guys that were on that roster, and then I interjected my students plus a couple other, you know, couple other guys that I knew from IWA, and it just, you know, it was blah, but the storylines were decent, you know. But then I just realized it's like, okay, you know, a couple of these guys need to go. This isn't working, you know. I don't know. You know, my biggest thing is that I put out there what the fans want, you know. There's things on my show that I don't approve of, or that I don't think, you know, aren't to my liking, but it's like, you know what, I'm not the one buying the ticket or buying the DVD. So, I mean, I think that's what I came to grips of. It's like, I may not like it, but as long as people do enjoy it, that's what we're going to put out there.
And this leads into my next question. How important is it to have, you know, the guys like the Dr. Keiths and the Mike Pekoviches and the Jim Lynams and all those people to sort of have to support you?
Oh, it's great, dude. You know, I mean, these guys are, you know, they're the voice of AAW, not me, dude. I don't know. I'm weird. Like you said, it took 4 years to do an interview. I don't know, man. You know, I got my thing going on, you know, at home, whatever. So it just, like, the guys kind of know. They're like, they'll do all the legwork and all, you know, all the hype work, and I'll just kind of put the show together, you know, and talk to the boys. And yeah, it's like, you know, it works out, man. They're the hype, and you know, I throw my ideas out to them, and you know, and they help me, and they've all helped me. You know, you know, we do it, we put it together as a team, but you know, so I guess everybody has their role, and their role is just getting the word out there where I wouldn't be able to at all.
You're not a big social media person. I've noticed that. You do have a Twitter, but you don't use it.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I just want to be left alone. I don't know.
But how important?
No, I don't want to say I want to be left alone. You know, it's just I don't know. I really just don't have the time for it, I guess.
Right.
And I you know, I work a job where I'm not on a computer all day. You know, so I really, again, I'm not. And when I come home, you know, I got 2 kids to deal with, so I really don't have the time for it.
And how important is it for you to sort of have a balance in your life between pro wrestling and a social life and a personal life?
It's good. It's a good balance. I mean, I don't know. I just tend to get burnt out on both, so I get to go. You know, when I get burnt out on AEW, I focus on work and vice versa. And you know, it's just, you know, what's good is unlike a lot of promoters that I'm not going to say any names, that I didn't need AAW to pay my bills. So that's why I think we've gone on for this long without, taking hiatuses or canceling shows or whatever it may be. Every dime that we made or even lost, whatever it may be, it didn't affect our personal lives, So we just put everything we could back into that product. This has been more of a passion for us than anything, and that's why I think, it's worked out so well. And we're all marked, Jim and, me and Jim are, older than Mike, and, well, we're both, I'm 37, he's 40, we've been marked from back in the early 80s that, this is what we love, Mike has been a huge fan, he's a little younger than us, but he's been a huge fan all his life, and I just, then, Dr. Keith as well, and, a big guy that, really helps us out behind the scenes, Bill the ref, or PJ Drummond, he's another guy that he's just, he knows exactly what's going on the indie level and everything like that, and so it's definitely teamwork, and we all do it for fun, man.
Absolutely, and in addition to some of the great work you've done this year, you also had a chance to do a charity show back at the beginning of August, and how did that all come together, and is that something that we're going to see in the future from you guys?
It just, I don't know. We've done shows for a while, and it was just talking with the building, and with me having kids, and the other guys as well. It's like, man, let's do something for children. We've never done really, anything, too much for charity. So we pulled this off, and we didn't get, it wasn't the best roster. Obviously with local guys that couldn't, that didn't have that far of a drive, but I'll tell you what, we got 190 people in that building, and that place was rocking, and we raised, I think it was $2,000. Yeah, it was over $2,000.
Yeah.
For charity. Nobody took dime number one. We paid for our insurance, and I think that was it. Yeah, we got our hotels comped, we got catering comped. So every dime that we made went to the charity, and it was just great. And, Hollister and Ali tore the freaking house down. It was great, and the other guys all busted their butt, it was just it was a fun atmosphere. It was really a good time, and, we hope to do it again next year. We don't know in what capacity, where or what, or who else is going to be involved. But, I think we'd like to get, other people involved and just make it bigger, So, we can donate more and just, get, AAW fans and maybe another group or two, and then we just have more fans do it,
Definitely. And a couple more questions, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah.
I want to ask about where do you sort of see AAW? Do you have any sort of markers that you want to reach in the next few years, or how do you see this company going in the next couple of years? Or do you just want to sort of keep doing what you're doing?
My big goal when I first started doing this was man, we got to get TV, we got to get TV, we got to get TV. Because, that's what I grew up watching, Everything was based around TV, but obviously that formula is, dead now. You don't need to pay for TV when you can just get a YouTube show,
Right.
And you can get a ton of people watching that. The only problem is you're not going to hit casual fans that are just flipping through channels to watch that. But, if you can get that YouTube show out to casual WWE marks that happen, to just, hey, it's wrestling, and let me watch that, then, that's like a goal coming up. But we want to do it right, we don't want to just put and we've done this in the past where we put out segments and matches and everything, and it's I'd really like to, come together with my guys and put out a half hour to an hour, weekly show on YouTube and just really make it like a TV show, just get people captivated in the storylines or, into the product. That, and I just think getting more awareness of the product, this past, year and a half to 2 years, I think a lot more eyeballs have been watching the product and really, came to, enjoy the product more than they have before when they've watched it. I think a lot more people are like, man, this is really, underrated. You guys got to check it out kind of thing. And a lot more people have now. But that's the goal, just to get more, exposure and down the road just to get a really good YouTube TV show going. I don't know if you can have bigger goals than that without money behind it,
Absolutely not. I mean, it's so tough in 2013.
Yeah, dude, it's a mom and pop promotion. You know what I mean? There's no money behind AAW. We don't have a broadcast company funding us money if we lost money or whoever. We don't have money. I mean, it would be great if you know anybody. Please contact Danny Daniels. If you got money to invest, let me know. But yeah, man, we just do it. We do it. We do what we can with the money that we have and the budget that we have. We give the best possible product that we're able to, put out.
Well, I think you guys have done a fantastic job this year, and over the last 4 years, I've been going to AEW for 4 years. Jesus.
Yeah, dude. You know what? Thank you for plugging us. You really go, above and beyond plugging us. Hyping or just enjoying the shows, and we could care less if you didn't like the shows, but you do go out there and put out a review and a report every show, so I really appreciate and thank you for that.
And this is the longest conversation that Danny Daniels and I have ever had because he's always busy during shows, so we don't get to talk.
Yeah, show days are fucking awful. They really are awful. I'm grumpy. I'm stressed out.
You guys, nobody knows. They've never seen Danny Daniels on show day. It's not a pleasant sight.
Yeah, dude. Well, somebody's has canceled, whatever, the building's giving me a hard time, whatever's going on, Something's pissing me off, or, I just get grumpy, and it's like, I just want to get this over with and go home, But, it really makes me happy at the end of the month when I get to put that DVD up on my shelf, and I've told a lot of people that, and because at the end of the day, I really am proud of the product, and I do love the product, That's why I do it, but it really does get me riled up the day of the show and leading up to it. There's numerous times where driving to the building, I just wanted to go the other way and turn around and go home.
I don't think people realize when you started AAW, you had a full head of hair, and now you're bald.
Well, yeah.
I know that's not true.
I wouldn't say it was a full head. It was, as my wife used to tell me, she'd had a bunch of burnt out ends. I had long hair back in the day. It didn't look good, but I tried.
And then you just smartened up and decided, shave it all.
Yeah.
Very smart move. Well, Danny, I want to thank you for doing this, of course. We'll have you on again to talk more about AAW and all that good stuff.
I just do want to plug, September 27th, it's going to be a kick-ass show. We got, debut of Eddie Edwards, first time in AAW. We got, what do we got? Silas and lined up, Lewis and Fontaine, Zero Gravity, and we got, something else, planned for the crowd to, give them a little something extra, and, with the tag team tournament coming up, so it should be a good time, man.
Michael Elgin and Keith Walker, ACH and Matt Fitch are also on that show.
Right, yeah, we're going to tear it up, dude. We are going to tear it up.
I forgot to ask you about Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston has, certainly been tearing it up promo-wise for AEW. He's been fantastic.
He has been, dude. It's been a guy that we really wanted to bring in for a very long time. And, again, we only have certain funds that we can use. And when we were losing Sammy Callahan, I'm like, oh, my God, we're losing him. This is going to be a major blow. I said, we got the money now to flip to somebody else. And I didn't want the fans thinking, oh, man, they lost somebody. I wanted the attention to go totally opposite, and I wanted them to think of something else. And I feel that we hit a home run with that. That opening angle that, where he came in and he beat, Crane, Knight, and Jordan, and then did him Silas. I'm like, that was dynamite. You couldn't debut a guy better than that. You know, and just his promos have been dynamite. I couldn't be happier of, you know, how that's worked out for us. I really, you know.
No, I mean, Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, you know what? And that has just been a freaking home run for us. And, you know, and the transition to Shane Hollister, you know, getting the belt. I feel that people needed to accept him as a champion, and Eddie Kingston has helped that. You know what I mean? Right. As far as the focus isn't all on Hollister being, oh, man, is he going to work out as champion? Because people see two brand new top heels now.
Man, Hollister's another guy. He's almost in Silas Young mode in 2010. He's a guy that just really deserves other opportunities.
He'll get them. Yeah, you know what? He'll get them. And, you know, he's going to be still another, you know, young kid. He's going to get his due. He's going to get his time. But again, the Kingston thing, you know, it's helped Hollister's reign so far. It really has, because the focus isn't all on Hollister. It's on two different heels.
Definitely. So, September 27th, October the 18th, October the 25th, wrestling.com, twitter.com/AAWPro, and twitter.com/AWLeaks. Those are the places to find AAW. And anything else that you would like to plug?
No, man, just, you know, I wanted to thank you and all the fans. Thank you for the support for, you know, all these years now. You know, even though when we weren't, you know, getting all the attention, you know, or, you know, getting more plugs online, you know, we were filling the house beforehand. So our fans have known, our local fans have known that, you know, AEW every month, every third week has been the place to be, and I just wanted to thank everybody for supporting us for all these years.
And thank you, Danny. You were the third person to actually put me behind the microphone as a commentator. I don't know what I'm going to thank you. I don't know if wrestling fans are thanking you, though.
Dude, I was in a tough bind, you know, and just you were the guy that, you know, when I looked around, it's like, all right, man, go ahead, do commentary. Thank you for doing that. My biggest worry on that night was to not royally fuck up and have you yell at me. That was. No. Dude, it was a charity show. I wasn't going to yell at anybody.
Just in case, though, it was a good motivator.
Right.
I think commentary's easy. It's not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I bet, dude. You know, a lot of guys have been back there, you know, and done it. And I've yelled at a lot of people. Believe me when I tell you that. You know, a lot of people go and they think it's a joke, and like, you know, but it's like, put the product over. You know, don't get yourself over.
It's incredibly difficult, and it's a tough balance to strike. And when I did Kevin Harvey's when I did his camp, you know, it really crystallized a lot more things for me, and it's a lot harder than people think, but it was a really great chance, and really odd to do commentary with Derek St. Holmes. What a weird.
Yeah, dude, he's golden though. I mean,
he's fantastic.
Yeah, he'll talk about things that, you know, relate to the match, but it just feels that you're not just calling the match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's different elements that you're calling that relate to the match, but you're not just calling move for move for move, and he'll tell you why guys are doing a move as well.
Yeah, I learned a ton from him, and he's nothing but great as a commentator and
oh yeah.
So. All right,
I appreciate it, bud.
Well, sir, have a good night, and I'll see you September 27th.
You got it, man. Thank you.
All right, so thanks to Danny Daniels one more time for a great interview, and if you want to follow what we do here, Pro Wrestling Ponderings, you can go to twitter.com/pwponderings for results, links to articles, news, all that good stuff. Also find us on Facebook by searching Pro Wrestling Ponderings. pwponderings.com is the mothership. That's the place where you can go to find all of my DVD reviews for AEW, PWG, and a whole lot more. As I said before, you know, we do 2 other weekly podcasts every week with the weekly newscast, Fan to Fan. Please support those podcasts. Subscribe to what we do here on the iTunes. Leave those 4 or 5-star reviews. And also make sure you go to some of our fine partners, High Spots, Amazon. Go to the links, do all that stuff. I'm out of energy. It's late as I'm recording this. for everyone here at Pro Wrestling Ponderings. I wish I had a tagline now that Kevin Ford and Kevin Harvey have such good ones. They really need one. But thanks for listening to the interview show, and have a good night.